Hey, friends, thanks for tuning in to yet another exciting episode of Friends of the Squared Circle. I'm your host, Crander Q, aka my real name. Now, as you can see, we have our brand new friend, Finch, joining us today. Look at all those beautiful collectibles behind him. Unfortunately, he's wearing Chicago Bulls memorabilia. I had to give him a hard time off camera. I got to make sure to put it on camera. So I say, face here on the episode. But if you want to be just like him and be featured on an upcoming episode of Friends of the Squared Circle, hit us up on Facebook, send us a message there. You can hit us up on YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever the people are calling it. We also have Instagram and TikTok. Yes, I have a TikTok. I don't do any funny dances. But Finch, how you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day in Wisconsin here. The sun is out, and I have the AC on because I love it cold. So it's a beautiful day.
Yeah, I feel that. We're cloudy and rainy, but looks like the sun's trying to peak.
Perfect. So we got you here to talk about your wrestling fandom. Now, before we begin on that, I mentioned the collectibles in the beginning there. You know about our sister channel. We're going to try to get you on there. But how long have you been collecting real quick?
I think I've been collecting since, I want to say, I was born in 86, about 90, when I really started collecting figures.
Okay.
So that's probably when I started. I mean, 4 years old, 5 years old, that's when you really start becoming what you like. Turtles, wrestling, G.I. Joe, doing the boy stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was a big Matchbox Kids car, or Matchbox car kid playing out in the yard. Mom would get pissed because we'd use her good spoons. Apparently she had good spoons and dig racetracks in the gravel in the back. We'd be bringing water out there, toilet paper rolls getting muddy. I'd bring my action figures out there, but man, the time to be alive playing in the dirt as a kid, those were the good old days.
Oh, yeah. Those are fun days playing G.I. Joe. We used to dig hills and just plan them and then just throw rocks at them like they're having like a meteor shower. I remember that.
Okay.
So, yeah, good times there.
I just saw a guy who posted a TikTok. His daughter was using the snaps to blow up the little army man, and I was like, that kid's going to be something creative one day, so.
Oh, that's cool. Keep that spirit alive.
That's right. Well, we're here to talk about wrestling, not collectibles today, but you can show them off, like I said, off camera. But what are your first earliest wrestling memories that you can remember?
We have a picture. I wish I had it. My dad won't give it up. My dad took us to go see Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior WrestleMania at a VFW. They played it on a big screen, and it was like $5 a head. And he took me, my brother, and my two cousins, and there's a picture of us lined up like old school. I think I even have like I think it's a Rockers t-shirt on. Okay. My dad has it framed in his room. I'm like, when he goes, I'm getting that. But we watched it live at this VFW when I remember being 4 or 5 lined up, sitting there real late on a Sunday night, going to school the next day, half asleep. Like, oh man, did you guys go to the VFW yesterday? Like, it was awesome. It was packed in there even. It was nuts. That was probably the earliest memory. After that, it was just, going to my grandpa's house and watching that a lot with my dad and my brother. It was so much fun. That was probably the earliest I remember being a fan.
Okay. Yeah. Was there any characters that stood out of that WrestleMania that you became fans of or that you disliked in the fake way? For me, like $1 Million Man, he still makes me mad for stealing Sweet Sapphire from Dusty Rhodes. But was there any characters that really you gravitated towards there in those earliest memories?
I fell in love with Rowdy. I have over 11 Rowdy figures.
Nice.
I'm a big Roddy Piper fan. I wasn't a Hogan fan. My brother was a Hogan fan. I was the Ultimate Warrior and Macho Man. I loved the fucking. Excuse me.
No, you're good. You're good.
I love the glitz and the glam. But I was a macho guy. But then, boom, Bret Hart went singles, and there it was. I am one of the biggest Bret Hart fans.
Very nice.
I got really sick last year and I couldn't meet him, and I had a meet and greet and I didn't get to meet him. It was awful. I thought my whole childhood was gone, but my buddy got my book autographed.
Well, that's good.
But Bret Hart, I hated Rick the Model Martel so bad. I hated him when he blinded Jake the Snake. I was sitting there like sitting there doing like fist punches to the TV, And I was sitting there. I hated him. It was funny. Like I never liked. I liked the villains too, though. Like I really did like $1 Million Man. Like I thought his laugh. I would do that laugh constantly in the shower. My mom would yell at me, like, "You're not even got $1 million. Be quiet." Like,
How cool was that belt, though? I mean, I didn't like him as a kid because, like I had mentioned, but that belt was beautiful, and it's still beautiful.
Yeah, that belt is awesome. I can't believe they did that belt, and he had to take care of that belt. I mean, I would have been so scared holding that belt anywhere I went. Any random crazy guy ran up and just jacked that belt from you.
Yeah.
I was so mad at him when he did the Virgil, though. I was so proud of Virgil as a kid. I was like, yay! And then he didn't went nowhere.
Now, I got to ask you a little quick sidebar here. You mentioned that, carrying that belt. Would you have rather carried that belt, or would you carry, one of the snakes that Jake had to carry? Because I know there's no way in hell I'm traveling with a python and all the stories I heard about that. But
I hate snakes, too.
Oh, you hate snakes?
Too.
Okay.
There's a Simpsons episode where it's Kill Snake Day. And I go, that's probably the best rule we need to fix. I can't do it. And yeah, I rather would have carried that belt in the middle of a thief ghetto or anything instead of holding a snake or riding with Jake the Snake. Because even those horror stories you hear later about the snake getting out, or
on the tarmac and leaving it in the hotel bathroom, forgetting it, he passes out drunk. And
my daughters tease me. They literally will go to the reptile house. I'll stand in the middle. They'll cover the picture and go, "Dad, it's just a frog. Come over here. It's just a frog." I'm like, Yeah, Jake the Snake was one of my favorites. Actually, that's probably my first figure.
Okay.
I even have the belt, the snake with it still. I wanted to at least show that off because you're talking about my first early memories. Well, this is probably my first early memories of a toy and wrestling toy that I got. I hated the snake, but at least it looked so cool on Jake. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was one thing I wanted to at least say there when you said earliest memories about that.
Was it Rick Rude that was the purple and black one, correct? Like the Hasbro?
Yes.
I believe. Yep, that was one of the first ones I had. I think my mom found it at a garage sale or something.
It's one of the ones I never got.
Yeah. And then I had Big Boss Man in the Hasbro, and I like that one because he had the nightstick and stuff. Yeah. Those Hasbros are so cool. If there's any toy line that I really do appreciate, it's that one. And then you're gonna laugh at me here. You're probably gonna never want to come on my collectible show, but for some dumb reason, the WCW ones that you press the button and they vibrate, I thought those were so cool. And they don't even look like a lot of the wrestlers. They're just trash looking. But when they were at Kmart, I just remember I want the Giant. I want Lex Luger.
I have some of those. I don't think I have any of those back there. I have those old hard hats.
Yeah, you're probably smart not to have those horrible figures, but those were
smart. That ain't nice.
I don't know what it was about them, but I just thought they were cool. They vibrated. I don't know.
I mean,
yeah. Eventually, I will get like just the NWO figures and a couple of the other ones in those. But,
I would. I still look at thrift stores. There's a lot of these old antique stores around here. I find a lot of these loose old rubber ones and stuff that I just snag. I'm like, I'm just gonna keep them. I'm like, you're not alone. Come home.
Join home. My friends.
Yeah. You won't be alone anymore. But no, it's that Jake the Snake is probably my earliest toy memory of wrestling. Like opening up, like I like Jake, I just didn't want to see him because of the snake, And
then the Cobra that he had with Macho Man. That whole thing backstage. Yeah, there's no. I mean, I don't mind snakes. I just don't like the really big ones. And obviously, a lot of them are venomous that are the small ones. But for me, it's small birds. So Coco Beware, just no. Get rid of the bird. I'll take a photo with you. No. So I understand your snake thing there, but birds and me don't mix. I'm not a huge fan. So.
I remember starting to like Jake when Earthquake killed Damien.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you come to find out later in life it was just hamburger meat and nylons. And you're like, you made me feel bad for a snake.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's so funny, like some of those things they would do, like that, or the urn with the light, or the buried alive matches. I just recently found out how they did that. I've been wrapping my brain around it for
Oh, the
years.
buried one? Me
Yeah.
too.
Then
Me
my
too.
buddy showed me. I was like, all right, well now the mystique's gone, but now I feel a little bit better that they're not having to lay under a board or some crap like that for an hour or two till they get removed. But
I remember watching that Undertaker and Yokozuna match where he got beat up all the guys and they're putting the casket away and he floats up into the heavens.
oh
I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
being like 9 years old by myself. Like, I remember, I don't even know how old I was. I was just like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then later on, you're like, that wasn't even him.
Yeah, and then I love the where Mankind and Goldust put him in the casket as well, and I'm just like, how is he in there? They're beating the crap out of this thing. How is he in there?
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of my favorite, first WWF favorites was Goldust, and I just was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then Mankind. That's the face of Foley that I love the most. He was just so mysterious and creepy. So I felt cool liking him because I'm a huge wuss when it comes to horror stuff. Like, I'll put it on the internet. I don't care. I'm afraid of ET. To this day, I'm almost 40 years old and I do not like that little thing. It freaks me the hell out. But I thought I was cool and edgy because I liked Mankind because he was spooky. But
That's cool. That's
yeah,
awesome. It was like, you were cool as hell even if you liked Undertaker. I was like, man, I like the dark stuff, man.
Yep.
My birthday is the day before Halloween, and I was born 13 days late and an hour before midnight. It was like 11:01. So my mom was always mad about it. So I think that's why I'm big into horror too. Like, it's just been
Perfect. So we were talking about Mankind there. We had a little bit of a glitch. Probably one of my cats out there sabotaging my podcast. But what were you saying there, Finch, about Mankind and The Undertaker there?
It was just, I really enjoyed that feud. That was probably one of those feuds that really hurt me when Paul Bear turned on Undertaker.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I thought that would never happen. I thought them two, ride into the end. But what came out of it was one of my favorite wrestlers is Kane.
Yep.
When Kane debuted after Mankind and Taker, I think, is the one that really helped Kane become something. So I appreciate them two so much more for making that story, because when Mankind and Paul Bear got together, oh man, it worked like glue too. It was perfect. You even had two people right there that do some really good promo work together, and being in the boiler room with the urn and Paul Bear being there. And I mean, as a kid, I was like, the most portrayed thing I've ever seen. I was like, there's no way. Like, that's Paul Bear. You always saw managers, like the good guys beat up the managers, like Paul, like Heenan, how many guys, turned on Heenan, but like when Paul Bear smashed him with that urn, you could feel it in that crowd that night. That crowd was like that doesn't happen sometimes, so it was cool. It was one of those good childhood memories,
Yeah, I definitely, that's one feud that I always remember. Obviously, everyone knows Hell in the Cell. That iconic moment. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it, because Foley almost died twice. Basically gave his body to this business. Did you have a favorite incarnation of Foley? I don't know if I missed that or not. I know mine was Mankind, but did you have one that you liked more than the other, or was it Mankind as well?
It was Cactus Jack. I liked him in WCW. I only got for some reason I always missed WCW on TV. It was always like I would catch it and then watch it, and then it wouldn't be on. Like, it was just weird. But Cactus Jack was on there with Vader and Sting.
Yep.
And those were my guys. And I was just like, I wasn't a Flair fan. I mean, Flair's cool. Like, yeah, I love Flair, but like, I just wasn't that guy. I was a Sting, Vader, Cactus Jack fan. Those were. But when he went over there to there and he was Mankind, I was like, it took me a minute. I'm not gonna lie to you. That first few promos, I didn't know it was Mick. I was like, who is this dude? So when he came out and I was like, oh, that is Cactus Jack. I was like, no way. So instant Mankind was like, My least favorite is Dude Love. Even though I have a Dude Love pop, I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, I think that's when I got a little bit more older and was like, this is not cool. I love Foley. He's one of my favorites, but just
I think
nothing.
Foley's that guy everybody loves. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't say anything bad about Rey Mysterio or Foley. Two dudes there that are just, I think it's everybody's favorite dad wrestler, if anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those guys,
And I appreciate that he was able to go in the Rumble 3 times. That was kind of cool. I know people before Bray had passed thought that would be kind of cool. We get, the old Wyatt, we get the Fiend, and then as the more, Firefly Funhouse, with the sweater and the khakis, would have been kind of cool to see that happen.
See, that would have made you love that stuff, so it gave you a little more darker edge, huh?
Yeah.
But no,
go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
No, my favorite Three Faces of Foley was when he did that promo, and that's when Cactus Jack showed up on Raw.
Okay.
When he was like, Mankind was like, what you're thinking, what I'm thinking, or whatever, how he did it. And then he was like, Cactus Jack. And then Triple H and him had that feud with Cactus Jack and Triple H. And that was a mean Hell in a Cell, too.
Yep.
You go back and watch that, they brutalized one another. It wasn't not about big falls or anything. They just brutalized. And I think Triple H should thank Mick Foley. I think Mick Foley is the one that really pushed Triple H, like showed him like this guy will take all he can to make, who he is, and that's cool. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people do, shit on Triple H for being married to Steph. That's all he got. His body of work speaks for itself, in my opinion. His creative, what he's doing for wrestling now. I mean, I like Triple H. He's not one of my favorites, but he goes out there, puts on good matches. And like you said, him and Cactus Jack having that brutal feud. I mean,
I just remember that Hell in a Cell was just bloody. It was a bloody mess at the end. It was a nasty one. So, I mean, it's like, go on.
I keep doing that. I get excited for the next question.
No, we're both loving it, so it's all good. We're both loving on Mick Foley right now. You can't go wrong. No, it's true. Like somebody like Mick Foley, you appreciate putting their whole body on the line and still going home to meet their family. Like after meeting my kids, I think that's why he's like my favorite dad wrestler. I had kids later on. I have 2 daughters and a son, and it's like, I hate being away for even 5 hours, 10 hours. So it's like him being away and he instantly go home and go back out. I would have done the same. I respect it. Owens does it now, so I think I love that. Orton does. All right, sorry.
You're good. You're good. Since I got married too, I kind of feel that like when I'm back in my hometown, it's like I just want to go home to my wife, hang out with her because we just laugh and joke around all the time, and it's a whole different vibe when you are home versus being away. And I weird to say. I mean, I never thought I'd be married. Shout out to my buddy Randy. Take a shot. We're talking about my wife. He hates that, but
I thought I was gonna get buried with all my figures, and that's it. It's a house of figures and a job and a dog. That's how I thought my life.
I'm right there with you. But as you got older, though, did you kind of lose wrestling, or has wrestling always been there for you? How did that kind of evolve? For me in high school, I kind of got more into sports and football. I kind of grew out of the wrestling phase for a good, 10 years. But how about for you and your fandom?
It was going into high school. Attitude Era had happened. That was right when you kicked. I want to say I was 12, 13. So that was awesome. And I think where I went to high school, is when I discovered the ladies and and football. I played football and I did do some wrestling. But I was like, you ever seen Dazed and Confused? I was like Pink. I was like that stoner football kid that skateboarded after school. I went to metal concerts as a football player. My coach hated it. Like you shouldn't be doing that to yourself. Blah, 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 whatever. So during that time, like I didn't see the whole invasion. Like when WCW came, I think that's right where I took that break. And I think I came back when I started working at this bowling alley, and this dude and this mechanic where I worked with, he would have SmackDown on in the back with him, and I would constantly watch it. And it was around the time Evolution just broke up.
Okay. Yep.
Like Batista just did the thumbs down, and he's making his like way. Now he's like the SmackDown guy. I think Eddie
Okay.
just passed too, actually. So. But there was a feud that really got me into it was Batista and Undertaker. They had this year-long feud when I worked at this bowling alley, and I watched the whole thing in the back of this bowling alley because I was working,
Mm-hmm.
and it really got me back into it. Like, I saw the rise of John Cena. JBL was an awesome villain. Like,
Yes.
JBL is so underrated. He doesn't get the credit of how mean of a villain he was at that time. Like, and I went back. Like, it wasn't like I stopped, Like, I stopped collecting. A lot of this is, after that. You know what I mean? So it's like I went back, got the DVDs, oh my God, they got books out. Like, you can, oh my God,
Yep.
I got a Bret Hart wrote a book, holy crap. So it's like one of those moments where I just fell in love with it again. It was like the childhood lived up, and next I'm going to live events. I went to paybacks, and it was just like holy crap. And I found indie shows near me where I got to meet vets. I got to see Missy Hyatt and Xbox one night, got to meet Ultimate Warrior one night, got to meet Mick Foley. Yeah, I got childhood dream, brother. It was, what I mean, when you got to shake hands with a giant like that with your kid, it's like it was cool. It was one of those moments. It was like,
yeah.
You wanted to cry, but you didn't want to do it in front of a hero. You Ultimate Warrior gets Ultimate Warrior gets a lot of crap, but like you gotta look at the character. I was 5 years old, and this guy took down the guy I wasn't a fan of. Took down my big brother's guy. Like haha. But no, it's like I grew back right into it. Saw the rise of John Cena. Triple H was still kicking ass. Like it was just amazing how Triple H did not miss a beat.
Yep.
And then Undertaker not missed a beat. Kane was huge. He had the one sleeve.
Yeah.
And he still had the mask kind of still. I got to see the unmasking of Kane. That was cool. I got to watch that. I was like, okay, at least I got to see that. But it was like, it was cool. And then you found out I fell in love with TNA. My buddy told me about TNA, so you need to go look at TNA, and that's where Christian was, and that's where I found AJ Styles, Jay Lethal, Amazing Red. I was like, who are these dudes? It was like there's another company, and they're not trying to fight WWE, they're just doing their own thing. It's not about that. And then, like I said, you found indie shows or wrestlers. You just kind of grew up. You kind of realize, okay, I'm an adult. I have money. I can go meet these guys.
Adult money. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm like, and then that's when I met my wife, and she was like, she had an older brother that was into wrestling, so she kind of knew things. But like one of our first dates was at a hardcore indie show.
Oh wow! Nice.
Like I took her to the show, and I knew the wrestler, and it was like, hey man, how you doing? I fight. He's all bloody. He's like, this her? It was cool. It was like, one of those. And it's like ever since then, now I take my daughters to shows. My son's only 2, so I guarantee he loves it. He'll say elbow. He'll go elbow. And it's cool stuff. Now I get to
definitely passing that on to the next generation. I've told my wife, Randy, take a shot, that like if we have a son, like I get to lay on the floor and play with action figures again and not be judged. He will have a Dusty Rhodes, he will have a Gold Dust, or maybe a Dustin. He's gonna have my favorites to start, and then he can pick his own. But if he picks the wrong one, I'll be like, "Ooh, maybe that one's too much money, bud. Let's get this one." And then I can just be like, But there's only 2 wrestlers that I don't want to have. So.
No, I keep the loose figures down here. The ones that I like, they're not really worth anything. Just more just having them, so he can come over here and chill. Like he can come over and play with these. The ones are more up high. My oldest daughter's favorite wrestler, which makes me proud as a dad, is Sting.
Nice.
And she's only 10 years old, so it ain't like she's seen the best of Sting. It was like when she went and saw Sting as Surfer Sting, she watched WCW, like the Monday Night Wars with me. She wanted to see what I watched.
Okay.
Sting was one of those guys that caught her eye. She was like, that dude's cool. And she saw the hero aspect of Sting. The coming down, saving DDP and bringing him. She saw that. She got to watch those clips with me. And when it was like, she got to pick who she really liked. She hates Hogan. So I was like,
that's great. I mean, granted, he was one of the first action figures I had. I mean, my uncle had it, gave it to me. He was part of it, but I remember having the Stings, the Nasty Boys. They were the first wave of WCW, just the solid rubber with hand painting. Yeah.
That was the thing. I never saw WCW stuff. It was always WWE stuff, and it was like my dad and my mom were like, I would get these for you, but they're not here. Like for some reason, they couldn't find WCW stuff.
Gotcha.
So it was like I never got a WCW thing until where NWO came and the bigger figures came out and the harder ones like right back there. Like that's the only time we ever saw WCW in my area. I don't understand it. It was weird. Like my buddy had a WCW ring, but he said his mom had to order it. So it was kind of like, I would have loved to have you. That would have been cool.
Back in those days where you had to order from a magazine, kids.
Finger Hut. Was that what it was called? Finger Hut. Yes.
I remember the big East Bay things with all the clothes and the jackets and the J.C. Penney catalog and
J.C. Penney catalog. Oh my God.
We always went to it was like a secondhand store, and I would go right to the bag toys, and they always had just action figures in them. I didn't know who half the people were, but I was always like, "Oh, this guy will be great for my wrestling federation."
100%.
And my brother, I think, had it, or somehow I got it.
I still do that.
Yeah, the blue guy from Master of the Universe. I just remember he had a squishy head and a plastic body. And I finally looked it up. I'm like, I'm going to have to buy that again just to throw on my shelf because he was always my champion.
That's cool.
Yep. I just got to put him on the shelf. He won't fit with any of my collection of the stuff that I collect, but he was always my champion and my thing. And I was like, you know what? I need one just to sit there for nostalgia. And then there's a story. It's on my previous episodes too, is where my brother ripped the head off my Vader doll. And I was so pissed. He made me cry. And, my mom super glued it back on. I had just gotten the dang thing. It was brand new. So I was super mad. And I've been talking to my friends, and they're like, if we ever find one for you, we'll send it to you. Because I don't want to buy it new, because I'm just going to rip the head off and have it sit right next to it, because it's another core wrestling memory. And I kid you not, we were at the mall up here, and we were shopping, and they had like a big loose bin of action figures. And I'm looking in there, and they actually had a Vader one without the head, and I just busted up laughing. And I should have bought it then. And everybody's like, what's so funny? I was like, well, the story is blah, blah, blah. And they're like, wow, that's like fate. You should buy it. But he wanted like $5-6 for it. I'm like, I ain't paying that for that right now, But, I will eventually have that on my shelf just with his head next to him because it's a
Vader a hard one? Was it
it's one of the bendables that WWF released.
My buddy gave me a sit. Oh, never mind. It was so fun. Never mind.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that's a core memory of, my action figures, my brother being a jerk. And he was actually coming to a local show, and I was like, I am getting a video of this man yelling at my brother for breaking his action figure, and it's going to be the greatest thing ever. Well, unfortunately, he passed a little bit later that year, and I was so pissed because I thought it would be the greatest video ever, having him yell at my brother for destroying one of his action figures. So,
rest in peace.
That's right. I love Big Van Vader. He had the big elephant thing that came out with him, and
when he did that moonsault,
right?
Boy, I would not want to take that. You imagine going in the back and like finding out you're taking a moonsault from Vader that night. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I quit.
Or the Swanton Bomb from Yoko. Oh man, or not Swanton Bomb. That's Jeff Hardy, I think.
You're talking about Bonsai.
Bonsai. There we go. Yeah.
But like, I'm not like. It sounds weird. I hope it's gonna sound weird. It will be weird. Like, at least Yoko looked a little more cushier than Vader. Vader looked like he was a rock. Like it's just a boulder that jumped on you. Like at least
he was very stiff to begin with. Yeah.
It looks like Yoko was at least a beanbag. This guy was like, Vader looks like it was just a slab of bricks that fell on you. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that.
And then I remember watching an interview with Jeff Hardy where he said, back in the day, I barely touched the guys, but now they're getting more of the Swanton Bomb than anything, because he just lands on them now. Like, he's at that age where it's like, I got to protect myself more than the guy laying underneath it. So, yeah.
It's just, you got to stop doing it, man. Sometimes, I worry about these people, man. I really do. I feel like one day we're just going to lose a real bad vet on live TV, man. Again, I hate knock on wood 1,000 times, but man, I hate seeing these real old vets trying to do that stuff sometimes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like I worry about them. Just childhood, heroes and happiness. Just you don't want to see those people get hurt anymore, man. I want to see more managers. I want to see these old guy managing people. Like we had so many managers back in the day.
Getting Arn out there, Jake the Snake. I thought AEW nailed it with that. Jake definitely with one guy that I'm absolutely afraid of, Lance Hoyt, aka Lance Archer. That dude scares the shit out of me. He was the local champion around here, and he always yelled at me, and I did not like it. He freaks me out, man. And then I took a picture with Victoria. He's behind me, pretending he's going to hit me with a chair. Freaked me out when I turned around. Cool. Yeah, I don't like that, man. He scares me.
He's a giant. He's huge.
Yeah,
I like his song. But yeah, then I'd rather see these bets. Like even Matt Hardy was out there with Private Party, doing it with like that little Matt Hardy thing. I dig that. Like you don't need to have these bets out there wrestling, out there, coaching them and stuff. I even liked when they had AEW had it right when they did manager, even like Tully Blanchard being the Pinnacles, like old guy in the group with MJF, FTR, and all that. I thought that was cool. I was like, that's how it should be. That's old school wrestling. I'm a big old school guy. That stuff still works if you work it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's like, man, that's what I miss about wrestling sometimes. It's just that they don't go back to the files and like, this really works. Let's try it. You know what I mean? Like, why not do that? Sometimes they do. I'm not saying they don't, but I wish they did it more.
Yep. Especially when you have them under contract, utilize them, get the fans to not only invest in that character now, but go back and watch that stuff. I mean, you're seeing Jake the Snake out on the sidelines, and you got some young kid getting, well, who's Jake? Go look, man. You're going to love it. You're going to love what you find. Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, you're going to love what you find. Minnesota Wrecking Crew, one of the first real technical, teams besides Hart and Anvil back in the day. But, a lot of eyes could put it on that older project or stuff to, enhance what's happening today. So we can segue into that. Who are some of your favorites today?
Today, right now, big Seth Rollins fan. I love what he
same.
Yep. Somebody he made a comment one day that made so much sense, and I think that's why I like him so much. He said, "Roman Reigns is the Hulk Hogan. I'm his Macho Man," and I go, "That's it." I go, sold. You know what I mean? I was like, it almost like that. You know what I mean? If you look at it, you got to have that big star, and then you got to have Seth Rollins. Huge FTR fan. Love FTR. I have their hoodies. I have their figures. Like, those are my dudes. And it goes back to what you meant with like Arn and Tully. I feel like you get a team, or even it goes back with sports, even any sport. You always get a player or a team that can play in any era. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, I always look at J.J. Watt. He could have played in any era of football and been a monster still. You know what I mean? If he went back to the 70s where they beat the crap out of each other, J.J. Watt would have been a god. You know what I mean? J.J. Watt would just – he was a good dude, but he would have took it serious. Like, he would go ahead and try to kick my ass. But, like, FTR, I felt like you could have had him in the 80s, 70s, even later on in life. I feel like they would have fit perfectly. And I love how – I don't know. It's just something about them. It just feels old school. I miss Bray Wyatt. It's Bray Wyatt still hurts a little bit with me. Because
it still doesn't feel real. I mean,
I just turned the same age as him, and then he passes, so it kind of like really bugged me a little bit. And then like, I don't know, maybe because I am big into horror. So like having Taker gone, I didn't have that darkness, and then he come back with the Fiend, and I'm like, there it is. Like that's my time. And then I miss him. I still love like Orton and CM Punk. Got to go to Chicago.
Oh boy, we're canceling the podcast, folks.
No. He's our hometown homie.
Remember how I said I didn't like Chicago? No, I don't like it anymore.
Yeah, that's fine. I respect it. I don't blame people for not liking CM Punk. I get it. I totally get it. But he's got the Chicago attitude. We just don't give a shit. Sorry.
I mean, I'd like to meet the guy. I'm sure you'd changed my mind prospectively, but at this very moment, it's just like there's only like two wrestlers that I can't stand, and he's just one of them, so.
No, that's fine. I'll give you three wrestlers I don't like, and I don't know if you're going to like it, but I don't like Mercedes Moné. I don't like Hangman Page, and I'm not a fan of Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, no, you're
No.
good.
Okay, cool. I just nothing appeals to me with them three. I have like no desire to watch one of their matches. Like when they're out there, I'll go outside or go to the bathroom. You know what I mean? One of those moments, just like okay, just like my buddy gave me a Hangman figure for my Christmas as a joke.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I gave it to his kid for his birthday this year. Right back to
We
him.
did the same with Kevin Owens to my buddy. He doesn't like Kevin Owens, so we got him an autograph, one of the figures for his birthday. Yeah, so I love Kevin Owens.
I love Kevin Owens. That's another
He's
guy.
like one of my favorites right now. Yeah, so
No, there's a lot of wrestlers I do like. But there's wrestlers I do pay attention to, and that's like Punk, Rollins, FTR, MJF is obviously, he's just fun to watch. I like him. What makes me upset is just like I like Okada a lot, and I just wish I could see him more. Will Ospreay's cool. I like him a lot. But there's just I don't know. It's I do like a lot of wrestling. I'm a big Moose fan in TNA. I like Moose a lot. I like Josh Alexander too. I think so many underrated TNA talents. That
super nice guy too. He's got that Canadian nice for sure.
Oh yeah, me and my daughter went to 7 TNA shows last year.
Nice.
We were there when they talked. We were at the Bound for Glory last year when they debuted the TNA's Coming Back video.
Okay.
I saw Will Ospreay versus Mike Bailey, the first match they ever had. Oh my god, like what a clinic, I met Scoops that night too, Suplex. Like he was sitting 2 rows behind me, and I took a picture. He was good and a very nice guy. There's a lot of talent out there, but like I'll be honest, there's least more people I don't want to watch, and then a lot more I do want to watch. You know what I mean? Like I can watch a whole Raw and only walk out of a room twice. I can watch AEW, whole AEW, and walk out of a room twice because there's just people I just don't want to see. You get what I'm saying? Like it's just it's a lot less people of me not liking, and a lot more people I like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like them all in different tiers. Same with my independent wrestlers. Like, if you're wrestling my favorite guy and you're like number 3 on my list, I'm going to boo you. Sorry.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you're asking me why you booing me after the show. Well, you went against my favorite wrestler. I'm sorry. So.
No, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. We went up to the vendor table one time and I got the one guy's autograph, and my buddy Bob's like, well, he's just going to go over to Darren and get his autograph. And I was like, you shut up. This is before I knew the 2 guys a little bit better, but I'm like, shut up, dude. Like, I don't want him to hate me, so.
There's a guy that's local in Chicago area that I hate. I paid him for like years now. His name is Davey Vega. You ever heard of him?
I haven't heard that name, no.
He's jobbed a few times on TNA.
Okay.
But he's like local and like some of the indie, he can, I don't hate anybody like as a wrestler. I just think like people should not be wrestlers. You know what I mean? Like,
gotcha.
You're in a ring. I respect you. Just because I can't do it, you can do it. That's cool as hell on your part. Do I gotta like you? No.
I can do it in the video games. I'm a champ all the time.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm like a 5-time billionaire champ and stuff. Like
you should see my fantasy booking. It's better than anybody's on the internet.
I should be writing for every company. I don't know if I've told you this.
Like I am the number 1 booker in WWE. Like they should hire me because my opinions matter, and if they don't do what I say, it's all Vince's fault or Triple H's fault or Tony Khan's fault. So that's why I have a podcast, so I can voice these opinions and know that I'm right.
20 years from now, it'll still be Vince's fault. I don't know.
Everything is someone else's fault. We just did an episode, shout out to the Joe Monroe show, on whose fault it was in WCW. And one of the things I blamed was talent, because I feel like, the people in charge could stop things, but when people don't show up for dates or people want more money, people don't want to do said storyline, I'm going to blame talent.
Selfishness.
You know what I mean? So I put more of the blame on them than the actual people that probably had a bigger deal with the ultimately downfall of WCW, but same time, like talent's there too. They have to do their part. And I always say, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. They could be injured, in trouble. You know, people get in trouble at work. Oh, well, how to punish you? We're not going to put you on TV this week. You're not going to make that payment or that payday because you screwed up backstage. Oh, you didn't show up because you overslept or you're sick. There's more reasons than somebody not being on TV, but let's just all blame Triple H for that person not being on that week. You know what I
100%.
mean? So,
Yeah.
So
That's why I
always,
like hearing stories about, like,
Yep.
you know, I recently heard that Scott Hall let Chris Jericho beat him in that WCW match when they were told not Scott Hall was supposed to go over, and Scott Hall was like, it's not going to do anything for me.
Yeah.
What's the point? And then he let him, you know, roll him up real quick. And I'm like, you got to love that. Even though Scott Hall had his demons like that and stuff like that was in WCW everywhere, he still had the sense of being like, there's no point in me beating him. Why would
look what it did for Shawn back in WWF? It catapulted him to another level, just
100%.
like it gave credibility to him. You know, and you mentioned Bret Hart's book. You buy the books and stuff. I can't tell you how many times I read in these books. These boys are like drugged up, pilled up, out of their mind, and they're going out and putting on a show.
Yeah.
And then again, the fans, the podcasts have the audacity. Well, it's so and so's fault. Did you not read the same book I read where they're talking about how they were so high they could barely get out of bed in the morning?
Yeah.
And probably executives said, "You're not going out there tonight. So sit your ass back in catering and get sobered up." But then they're ultimately going to say they don't use them right or bury them. It's like there's more going on than we know. You know, these podcasts, and I'm one of them. I try to stay in my lane. These wrestling fan pages and stuff, you know, we think we know more than we do, but we don't. And I heard someone say it on Twitter. Unless you're getting paid by one of the big companies and are actually there, you don't know shit. And I was like, bingo, you know, so
yeah,
that's how I look at it, you know, so.
No, and it's true. It's like 100% true.
Yep.
It's like you have no idea what's going on back there. But like when I found out that like Davey Boy Smith was really doped up during him and Bret Hart's match at SummerSlam at Wembley, and then you go and watch it, and you're like, oh my God, he's out of breath like 2 minutes into the match. And you're like, he really is. Bret Hart really is trying to get him through this match. And it still ends up being a classic. Like, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it ends up being one of my favorite matches ever, just because it's like, I re-rented that video so many times. You know what I mean? Just because I love that. That was the same one where LOD came out in the motorcycles, and you come to find out Hawk was trashed out of his mind. And he's on a motorcycle. You put him on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
You could have killed the front row or somebody in that. Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, there's so many variables that, you know, fans don't think of. They just think like if they don't get their story the way they want it, it's wrong. It's not right. AEW, you know, people aren't on TV every week. They don't need to be on TV every week because you bitch about people not being on TV. So now there's a spot open for somebody else, and you're complaining because that said star is not on TV this week. Like, I can't. Sometimes with the fans, I just can't. It's just like you have to dive into it more. Same with like the trolls that put up, you know, the attendance, the ratings. Just watch the wrestling. That doesn't matter. That doesn't make you a fan if they have more. If you have a better rating, it doesn't mean I'm watching your show more. If I love it, I'm going to watch it. I like one of the stupidest shows in the world, but I'm going to continue to watch it because I like it.
Why not?
Plain and simple, you know. And I also love a show that's very popular and has been on TV for 20 years. And people hate that, but guess what? I love it. I'm going to watch it.
Facts.
Your ratings and your attendance don't matter to me as long as I'm enjoying it. And if you have to constantly keep bringing that up, you're not a fan of pro wrestling. You're a fan of starting shit just so you can get the likes, the follows, and the comments. You know, I mean, it's okay to bash wrestling. No, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you constantly lean on, well, AEW doesn't have the attendance. AEW doesn't have the attendance. Their storylines suck. Then why are you even talking about it?
Yeah, but you're still watching the show. You're still there to see your favorite wrestler from that company.
And critique. They're looking for that mistake. And I've been a manager, you know, out of all my work life, half my work life. And it's like I've learned something very valuable that says when people make mistakes, you're more inclined to watch them so they make the mistake. You're waiting for the mistake to happen so then you can attack it. And then I learned by watching them make that mistake, I'm not watching everyone else make a mistake, or I'm not watching everyone else doing something good. And I was like, holy cow, I'm so focused on cashier, blah, 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 or associate, blah, 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 that, Mark's over there busting out 37 pallets, and I didn't say anything to him because I'm waiting for these two to make a mistake, so
No,
it
I
just,
totally agree.
yeah.
It's just wild. No, I always say that wrestling fans need to grow up because you got to realize, just these people hate on them so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done it, but
Yep.
I'm more mad at that. Like, I get more mad that the bookers treat talent differently. I think I think as a wrestling fan, you should not be hating on the wrestlers as much as what's getting written down back there.
Mm-hmm.
They just got a job to do sometimes, like as much as I hate Eddie Kingston, they still want to be out there all crazy like and throwing gas and everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what we pay you for. You got to go do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you got to mature. You know what I mean? As a kid,
At least keep it off social media so you don't look like a punk yourself.
Yeah, I love when people do that. It's
I'm
like,
one of those guys that's like, sitting there eating my tacos, just filling my fat face, watching Gordon Ramsay's people cook, going, "Oh, you stupid idiot! You should have added onions."
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
There's no way in hell I could be on that show, but here I am. Oh, you're a freaking idiot, But I'm not going to go on the message board and be like, "Hey, Tom, you should have added onions, you stupid idiot." I'm going to critique him while I'm watching TV, or it's just like when I'm an asshole driving, I'm yelling at everybody, but you're not going to see me roll down my window and say it to somebody because, like, I'm going to keep those thoughts in my head, So
yeah, and I'm not that guy. Like, I always tell everybody, I'm a chunky dude. I make fun of chunky people. I don't make fun of anybody else.
I have the right to make fun of chunky dudes.
You damn straight. Damn straight. Like,
I'm part of that group. So
yeah, we're all, and I always, and like, I'm not that guy like, wow, she's out of shape. Wow, she got fat. Or wow, he's big again. It's like, who cares, man? You're not out there doing it. Like, I dare your big ass to go out. Like, I yell at my buddy all the time. I was like, dude, you have to walk with a cane. You just told that guy he's out of shape. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right now? Like, you got
the only thing I can compare it to is I am a shape. So
yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, they call me egg. It's like just
Mike Wazowski coming to you live from Friends of the Squared Circle here, also known as Crander Q. Yeah. All right, where can they find you, Finch? We'll get you on some future episodes here. We definitely want to show off that collection on our sister show there. But where can the friends find you and get all your beautiful content out there?
You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And if you are a gaming person, I also do Twitch. Some late night. I've been doing Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Very nice. I still got to watch that movie. I freaked out by a kid. I've seen clips, but I got to watch it all entirely. But I got way too many movies. So,
corny, funny movie. It's just fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Fran, for having me on here.
No problem. And we're going to do that beautiful outro we're trying here, and then you and I will chat off camera, so don't go anywhere here. All right, friends, if you want to be just like him and be featured on your own episode, again, hit us up on Facebook, send us a message. Otherwise, let us know on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We'll get you on your own episode. And it's your boy, Crander Q. Crander Q out.